think about how your customers are different, right? So pure private sector customers are going to be a lot different from a public sector, customer. You're kind of dipping a toe, and I think cleverly, looking at universities. I teach at BU, and I've been involved with a couple of other universities locally, Brown and over at Harvard. And they tend to operate like little governments. So I mean, some of what you're doing there is going to be more readily transferable to that marketplace, although not entirely so. The other thing I would want to pick up on, you are very importantly focusing on the risks associated. So if you're doing ethical hacking, which I know you're not doing, but if you're doing security or something, there's a risk associated with that. But anything associated with an IT implementation strategy has risk with it. So
I understand.
To the extent you haven't looked at umbrella insurance coverage and things of that nature to try to third party cover yourself in that sense. So as you go off into new areas, you're going to want to think about that. And there are organizations, firms that focus on small businesses.
What I heard from Bob, broadly speaking, was two things. One is that the market is changing around you in a way that's becoming more competitive, more commoditized, and you didn't say this explicitly, but the assumption is probably substantial pressure on margins, and I imagine just pressure top line as well because of the extra competition. The other thing, though, that I heard, which felt to me like a little bit of a boil the frog thing, you've probably gotten really used to this, was, when I think of a business that has 20% of their revenue from one source, or 30, or 40, whoa, you start to get nervous. Now, I get nervous a little bit faster because I come from consumer businesses, right, and revenue concentration is never an issue, but you're not at 20, 30, 40, 50, right? You're at 85. And to be a little bit harsh, I think that in effect what that means is you're really not controlling your own business anymore, right? You have one customer and, oh my God, a public customer. And so I think this is a little bit of the be careful what you wish for, right? I'm sure that there are competitors out there who would give their right arm to have the Commonwealth, be such a big customer. And my guess is that they've been a client of yours for a long time and they're very happy, and probably that business has grown over time, right? That's not, someone doesn't become 85% without, you doing a good job for them. To me, that's actually a bigger issue than the kind of secular changes that are happening in the industry. Not to diminish those, but because I think that's kind of a blinking red light, I might be a little bit less conservative than Mike and Laurie. In other words, I would reverse engineer this by saying, one, principle number one is a year from now we want the 85% to be 70%, and 2 years from now we want it to be 60% and so on, right? That's got to happen for the business to be stable. And if what that requires is you taking some chances, and rather than taking a rifle shot approach and we're going to figure out exactly which segment we're best suited to and just go after that, I'm not suggesting that you kind of go nuts, but this may be a little bit more throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. Let's try a few, because you may be surprised where you get traction. Now, I doubt that it will be something that has no connection to what you're doing now, right? I think it'll be more of a lateral move, but you might try one that's adjacent to you on the right and one that's adjacent to you on the left, because I think that no matter what, you got to get the 85% down, period and paragraph.
The value proposition might shift to more defined product. When I look at the private sector, there's less margin attributable to the two aspects of your business that are driving it right now, which is project management and business analysis as a value add. The private sector might see less value add in that and expect more of, I want this done as a product than as a service. We find that in our business as well. The communication of what we add to the customer and what the ROI, where the ROI comes from, has more to do with a definable product than it has to do with a value-add service. So if you can look at the technology components of what you're offering and define those into buckets of actual product, then along with that comes the extraordinary value of being able to manage the project and to add analysis to it. The private sector, I think, would see that as more of a return, something with offering a return, than the public sector, which would say, we're looking at governance, we're looking at security, we're looking at a good faith and testament to the public for what we spend our money on, whereas the private sector is looking for a return.
when you get away from your 85% all with the public sector, to really strategically identify, well, we'd like to shoot for 15% in the university, 15% in the nonprofit, et cetera, so that you have different segments that you're going after at the same time,
Right.
and you've identified that ahead of time. You could do what sticks within them,
Right.
but I would say that would be a better plan than just shooting off in every direction.
One of the key issues is not just understanding the new market and the market opportunities, but the marketing strategy to penetrate that new market, which is significantly different than the current marketing strategy, because a lot of today is referrals, repeat business, relationship selling, and so forth. A lot of the same folks in the agencies you're dealing with year after year to renew contract and renew relationships. As that changes and you go into the private market, you're starting almost all over. You don't have those same relations. So this transition from government to universities, nonprofit, you might find different networking or connections through the same base clientele that you have today.